I received a game key for Dreams of Another from Q Games for review purposes. Dreams of Another is not a game that fits easily into a genre box. Developed and published by Q Games, best known for the Tomorrow Children and the Pixel Junk series, the title arrives on October 10th, 2025 for PlayStation 5, PlayStation VR 2, and PC. Conceived and directed by Bayan, whose fingerprints can be seen across the art, music, sound design, and dialogue, the game reflects a deeply personal vision that merges experimental mechanics with an abstract narrative. While it can be played on a standard screen, it is clear that much of its ambition lies in its VR implementation, where its sense of space and presence truly shines. The story begins with a soldier who freezes in fear during battle, unable to pull the trigger, only to be gunned down. Instead of ending there, the player awakens as the Man in Pajamas, wandering through an ever-shifting dream world. The soldier remains a companion figure, offering guidance as players encounter fragments of memories, peculiar characters, and objects with their own thoughts. The narrative is disjointed by design. Dream logic prevails. Yet its vignettes often circle back to recurring themes of fragility, regret, and appreciation for life's fleeting details. Some players may find the abstract delivery frustrating, especially since dialogue often stretches into long pauses you can't skip. But the offbeat structure is also what allows the game's philosophical tone to resonate.
We trees, grow not just upwards, but downwards too. But if you look at it differently, up can be down, and down can be up.
At the center of Dreams of Another is a shooter mechanic turned inside out. Instead of destroying, firing your weapon materializes objects and shapes the world around you. Lost aura, which drifts as unstable energy, can be cleansed with a shot to reveal new paths or materialize useful items. Odds and ends, small seemingly trivial objects, can be traded for ammo or upgrades like dashing and grenades. This blend of walking, shooting, and very light resource management creates an unusual loop that often feels less like combat and more like sculpting a dream in motion. Over time, the act of shooting becomes so natural that it fades into the background, reinforcing the game's central theme. Creation and destruction are inseparable.
Oh, pull tab from an old can. Nowadays, when people see these things, they sometimes think of the damage we cause to the environment. At the very least, I'll reminisce the long life it's lived and cherish it with all my heart.
VR elevates these systems in meaningful ways. First-person mode in PSVR 2 captures an intimacy that makes its surreal landscapes feel close and unstable, while the third-person VR mode cleverly uses eye tracking to target shots. The haptic feedback, both in the controllers and surprisingly in the headset, deepens immersion, though the constant rumble sometimes borders on excessive, particularly during scene transitions where it lingers awkwardly. Still, when everything clicks, the VR modes feel like the intended way to experience the game, though the standard flat screen option remains perfectly serviceable.
I run several amusement parks around the country. This certainly could be profitable thanks to the retro trend. I don't get what's emo about retro aesthetics though. To me, there's nothing more emo than money out there.
Visually, Dreams of Another is built around point cloud rendering, giving environments a floating ephemeral quality. Worlds shimmer in and out of being, never quite solid, which suits the dreamlike motif while also setting it apart from anything else on the platform. That said, the constant instability can occasionally be disorienting, and some areas feel more like concept sketches than fully realized places. Still, the art direction embraces imperfection in a way that works. Dreams aren't supposed to be tidy.
But people die eventually. Have you ever thought about wanting to pass on those aspirations before? And does the recipient necessarily have to be a human? Let's imagine that together for a bit.
The audio design is arguably the game's strongest asset. Bayon's soundtrack oscillates between distorted industrial chaos and softer, more reflective pieces, each layering into the dreamlike atmosphere. Even the smaller touches, the sharp blips of shooting, the hum of materialization, are satisfying in their own right. Voice acting is the weakest link. Its flat, almost lifeless performances weigh down some exchanges. Yet in an odd twist, that same deadpan quality inadvertently reinforces the detached surrealism of the world. Humorously, the moles, minor characters you encounter, end up stealing the spotlight with the best deliveries in the game.
Oh, the pain. It seems this is the end for me. Hey, did I make it close to the bell? I haven't even rung it yet.
Where Dreams of Another stumbles is in pacing and payoff. The game moves slowly, with long walks and extended conversations that demand patience. Players seeking constant stimulation will likely bounce off its meditative rhythm. The ending too feels anticlimactic. After weaving together fragments of lives, objects, and memories, the conclusion doesn't quite deliver the cathartic send-off it seems to be building toward. Instead, it leans further into nonsense, which may frustrate anyone hoping for a unifying revelation.
Apparently, he would search for inspiration in his everyday life. He once said that if I were sat in front of a completely blank white canvas and was told to express myself, I couldn't do it. Like, that makes sense, right? Facing the blank white canvas and stoically trying to express yourself is wonderful in my opinion. But it's just as nothing can be created from nothing. But I think there are quite a few people who think that's how to pursue the true nature of art.
Yet despite its rough edges, Dreams of Another succeeds in ways few games attempt. It is unapologetically cerebral, often asking more questions than it answers. Its mechanics blur lines between creation and destruction, violence and art, action and reflection. Its world, though fragile and unstable, feels alive in the way it forces you to pay attention to the smallest details. A discarded item, a passing remark, a pause in conversation. Even its flaws become part of the experience, reminding you that dreams themselves rarely conclude neatly. Dreams of Another is not for everyone. Its slow pace, odd humor, and surreal storytelling demand a willingness to meet it on its own terms. But for those open to poetic, meditative exploration wrapped in experimental mechanics, it is a fascinating and occasionally magical journey. It's a game that might leave you confused, moved, or even frustrated, but it will make you feel something, and in today's gaming landscape, that's worth celebrating.
If you give it to the sky, your wish will come true.
I give Dreams of Another
You're scary!
a 7.5 out of 10.
All right, that's that job done. I love making children happy.